All your games belong to us.
Hey everybody, this is One Destin here, and I'm here with Hillbeast joining me today for our Let's Play of Chrono Trigger for Port 3 Games. Now, during this Let's Play, I'm going to try to cover most of, the important things in the game. Like, I want to cover mostly, obviously all the main game, a couple of the side quests, mostly just the important ones, really. Like, I don't want to really spend too long on this, but should be several parts as it is.
Yeah. Well, this is around about an 8 to 10 hour game, depending on how quick you are and if you're trying to get anything. Usually it takes me about 7 or 8 hours to get through the whole game.
Yeah, we'll be doing these in 15-minute segments, and then after that we'll just cut them off, and we'll put an annotation probably at the top or somewhere to the next video, so if you want to watch that for when it comes out. These will be daily videos, so you'll be able to keep up with them pretty quickly. Yeah. This opening sequence here, this is the thing. Back in the early 90s when this game was made, long opening sequences were very common in games. We didn't really care because most of the games were text-based, so to get the story out of them, you had to kind of really set a little bit of explaining at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. And this was getting past the stage where, like, all the story came from you just pull out the net manual, so all the storyline was now introduced to you. So you could just pick up the cartridge and just bang it on in there and you could play it. You didn't have to worry about reading a manual or anything, so... I think that the opening sequence was just the right length. They never made it too long.
And, during this part playthrough, I'll be keeping I'll be keeping the text going at a speed where everyone can read it.
Yeah. If you want to really read it, then just pause it. Yeah,
you can you can go to the game script or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, we encourage you to play the game if you want. It's pretty easy to get your hands on now. There's a Nintendo DS remake of it. You can get it for the PlayStation 1. I believe it's also the sequel to it, Chrono Cross, is on the PlayStation Network right now. I think the first one. This is the introduction of another character. We're gonna try not to spoil the game here for those people who haven't played it. Yeah. So we're just kind of go with the assumption that if you're watching this, you have not played it, even if you have.
Yeah. But all these characters that we're meeting right now are all important. But that's the thing about this game is, like, pretty much all the characters you meet are actually all important at some point. It doesn't matter, like, if say, they don't seem that important, because they really do actually come into effect for almost all the characters you really talk to. Okay, like, various people who just stand there and say, oh, it's a nice day today, then of course they're going to mean nothing. But, like, if they actually give you more than about 2 lines of text, they actually are going to be an important character.
Now, I'm keeping all the characters' names, the original names here. So far we've been introducing Chrono and Marl. This cat. Oh my god, this cat pissed me off so much. This is like my least favorite part about this opening part of this game, is doing this little side quest with this cat. Because its AI pisses me off, because if it gets in your way, you get that bullshit where you have to scare it away and you have to go back and get it back. And if it gets stuck behind something, you have to kind of lead it around it. It's like the dumbest cat ever. And then that old man getting in your way like that.
Yeah.
But this part took me a couple tries just doing because it was a pain in the ass. But you have to really go slow. You can't run here.
Yeah. You've got to walk, and even walking is still too fast for it.
Yeah, for those of you who have played the DS version of the game, the DS version of the game and also the PlayStation 1 version has these cutscenes, these animated cutscenes that go with it. This is the Super Nintendo one, so this was long before the cutscenes were ever even made. Yeah. So unfortunately, for anybody that wants to go,
as intended.
Yeah. So for anybody that wants to go and look at those cutscenes, they can go and look them up or play the PlayStation version. Yeah. Maybe we'll put a link to them in the description. This is a fight with Gato. This is a robot created by one of your friends in the game, and this is supposed to be kind of like a tutorial battle.
Yeah, but basically your first battle. So
yeah, but the thing is,
you can't.
This is a very optional part of the game. You do not have to do this at all. So up until this point, this is all just pretty much they're assuming that this is where you went and you're gonna fight this robot. Right now, I'm going to fight this robot a couple times, actually, because I'm going to start saving up silver points, because those become handy later on in the game, and I'm not going to spoil it now, but I will explain later
as to what those points later. They're quite
yeah. They are important later in the game, but it's a good idea to get them early in so you don't have to come back and do this, because this is just annoying.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a good way to get some easy free experience and some money at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
Which, I try, whenever I do RPGs, I try to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the game doing the grinding, because when you get some easy levels in the beginning, then for like the rest of the game, you'll be a little bit higher than you're supposed to be, so you don't have to really sit back and grind anymore.
Yeah.
Which I prefer.
Yeah.
So,
there's a big debate about Gatto's name. All these people are like, oh, he's called Gonzales, and oh, he's called Gatto. Let's just call him Gatto, because that's exactly what the text says right there. It says Gatto, so we're calling him Gatto. We're not
and
go
his name is
Japanese names.
I believe his Japanese name translates to the word cat. So, if you want to be really technical, his name is Cat. So,
yeah.
So I grabbed some silver points there. I believe I fight him one more time. Oh, no, wait, no, I don't, because my health was low. Now, keep in mind, things you're doing at the beginning of this game, they do affect you later in the game, which is really cool about this. This is one of the first games where your decisions in the game actually affect you. Though most of them are very light, but they affect just some minor dialogue changes and such at this point. But most of which, this is just one of the first examples of a game actually taking into consideration what the player is doing and give you the choice to do other things than just what the game's telling you should do.
Yeah. Of course, some of these decisions, while they do take effect, it doesn't really matter, because there's a few things like taking the cat back does affect stuff. However, in the end, actually doesn't really affect anything at all. It always ends up the exact same
this
way.
part here. What I'm doing here is this is actually another thing. This is kind of I think this is actually kind of a glitch in the game. Because I do not believe you're supposed to be able to go here at this point in the game. This forest here is open up, and there's some monsters here that you can fight to do some early, easy grinding in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And I do not believe this is intended, but it's just something that you can do, because this is like one of the first places you have to go.
It's just
it's just they kind of hit it.
Stronger than you, so they're supposed to sort of scare you off.
Yeah, I think they just kind of hid it so that you wouldn't look for it, because they just wanted you to focus on going to that festival. But I come here and get some easy grinding in. This is where I'm going to try to keep this Let's Play to like very minimal amount of grinding. It's very hard with RPGs, especially the older ones where they relied on a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I don't run from fights usually, because as long as you never run from a fight, you don't have to ever stop and just keep grinding.
Yeah.
But
this isn't a challenging game in any ways. It's actually quite an easy game. It's very easy to pick it up and just play it. If you're familiar with the concept of RPGs, you should not have trouble with this game at all. Which is one thing which I love about it, is it's so easy to play.
Yeah, it's not easy in the sense where it doesn't feel satisfying, because if you're looking for satisfying, you get a huge amount of story out of this game. You get a lot, which we're going to be talking about. You get a lot of really good music, as you're hearing right now. This is probably one of the better games for music-wise for Super Nintendo, which Super Nintendo produced some great music for games. The soundtrack was actually composed by a couple of anime music artists, and you may recognize some of the drawing styles of the characters, because they were actually, I believe, they were designed by the same guy who did Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. This is actually made by, what did they call them? I can't remember. They were basically Square's elite people. They were all the people from Square who did like all the best stuff, like their best music, their best story people, their best artists. All of them all worked on Chrono Trigger together.
I believe this game predates Final Fantasy III, I believe? I believe Final Fantasy
3 or
III
6 or whatever you call it.
Yeah, 3 had not come out at this point. This was probably, in my opinion, this was by far, up to this point, was definitely Square Enix's best game. I think this game surpassed Final Fantasy 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I believe this was also the first time they introduced a waiting-based battle system, to where it wasn't just turn-based, it was actually kind of real-time. This was their first attempt at doing something like that, and you can see it obviously caught on. Square pretty much
battle system in this.
Square was pretty much the innovator of every battle system in RPGs. It seemed every battle system that was ever made in RPGs was pretty much based off something Square did.
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of the turn-based RPGs, because those were just kind of the originals.
Yeah.
But
this is probably one of my favorite battle systems out of any RPG. The fact that it doesn't sit there fading into another location and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
active
it's very,
battles.
very simple.
I like the fact that the enemies are always on screen and you can see them and such, so you
Yeah.
don't have to really think about it, which is
Yeah.
really nice.
And you can avoid them if you really want to, but you really shouldn't avoid them. It really does help if
It makes
you fight
and it
them.
makes the game a lot more fun to play. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
point in playing if you're just going to avoid every battle. The enemies here, the Hatakis, obviously a parody of the Japanese word for mushroom, Hataki mushrooms. They really don't get any proper named enemies until way later in the game.
Yeah.
It seems. Right now we're getting very laughably named enemies, but these are the weak, low-level newbie enemies, pretty much.
Yeah, you start getting later and you get mutants and all that sort of weird stuff.
Also, I think we should talk about the graphics here. I mean, for the time, this game actually had really great graphics.
Oh, yeah. You look back at it now, and if you've never played old games, and you'll be like, oh, crappy graphics. But they're actually really good graphics back then.
And this is actually still pretty good for today's standards, actually. For handheld gaming, this is actually pretty good for today's standards. Because handheld gaming, we're not really concerned about graphics at this point. I mean, even though we've got, like, the PS Vita coming out with, like, PlayStation 3 style graphics they're saying. But still, for the handheld market, people are still playing a lot of 2D games for the handheld market. It's because that's what people really want. Portable gaming is more about, more about gameplay rather than graphics. But
yeah, if this was something that like you could just put on your Android or your iPhone or something like that, then this would be a brilliant little game.
yeah, this game is actually very playable on the iPhone emulators if you have a jailbroken iPhone. We don't condone you to do that, but if you do have one, you can play
If you're
on
on an Android, then you
emulator.
just go on the Android market, and there's 1.5 million SNES emulators you're allowed to use.
Make sure you legally own the game first, though, obviously. We don't condone you downloading it. I actually own this game in 3 different forms. I've actually owned the DS version of this game, the Super Nintendo version of this game, and the PlayStation 1 version of this game. So I own this game in every way it's possible. So the fact that I have this emulator, because for those who aren't familiar with the law, you are allowed to download a ROM of a game as long as you own the original, because the law states you're allowed to have a backup copy.
Yeah.
So pretty much I'm not doing anything wrong, but I don't condone anybody to do that. Like I said, some of these enemies, we have beetles, and then we have the rollies. Just very simple names.
They're all just crap enemies. If you've
Yeah,
played
these-
RPGs, you know this phase. It's just this is the part
Getting
of the
you
game
used
where
to
you
the
got
enemies.
to mess around with crappy enemies. You're all just like they just tease you with how rubbish they are.
Yeah, they're just getting you. You're just getting you used to these little enemies and such. And you might have noticed when this is another thing I noticed, the critical hitting. This is one of the first games I remember where the critical hits actually get their own animation.
Yeah,
Rather
like
than
Chrono
just
swings twice for his critical hits.
Yeah, and some characters get their own animations, but there's also different sound effects for when they do get a critical hit, which you'll notice probably in the video. Every time I go through a period of training or a couple battles, I like to always go stop in and take a rest here, because I don't like to get overwhelmed here.
I'm pretty sure you can just use Chrono's beard at home and it's free,
Yeah.
but I can't remember.
I don't think you can, because after you get another party member. But so far, what's happened in the story here? We've acquired Marl on our party, and we met her at this fair, and she dropped her pendant, and we gave it back to her. We went and helped the cat. We got a couple of fights with Gato, and here I believe I'm going to fight him again. But so far, nothing really interesting's happening. Chrono has been told by his mother that his friend Luca at the town fair, which we already know Luca's going to be a party member because it showed, you naming her. So usually in a game, when they tell you to name a character, that's how you know they're going to be in your party.
Yeah.
But we know that we're going to get Luca.
This game is also one of those sort of first games where you actually get to control someone who you never expected you would control.
Yeah,
we'll
no
see that
spoilers
later
on
on.
that. Yeah, you'll see later on. It's a very interesting turn of events. This game's all kinds of filled with all kinds of plot surprises, things that you weren't expecting to happen. But
if you haven't played this game before and you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, this doesn't look like it's very interesting, trust us, just watch it. It is a very good game. It's actually the best game I've ever played.
Yeah, and even more so, I mean, even if you don't want to watch us, because you don't have to if you want to, but definitely play it. Try it out for yourself. It's a very good game. It's available on the Nintendo DS right now. It's a little bit more expensive on that system. I believe it should be cheaper now since they have the 3DS.
Yeah.
It's available on the PlayStation 1. You can get it on the Super Nintendo, and of course, if you can want to just emulate it if you want.
Yeah.
But we don't encourage that. But you can go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But So here I'm just kind of getting another little fight in with Gato. You know, just kind of getting our silver points saved up. So far, you know, pretty much the only thing that's happened in the fair, we were told to meet our friend Luca, and you know, we got Marl, and that pretty much sums up this video.
Yep.
See you guys later.